Good morning. I am Ruth Van Lillian, the minister here at the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Tuscaloosa. We welcome you into our covenantal community, founded on love and a common devotion to our free faith. We recognize all the earth as sacred ground, and we welcome each other into this virtual space. We especially welcome those visiting with us today. We're so glad that you found us. We invite you to connect with us in our community through the comments below or visit our website or Facebook page.
Good morning. I'm Lynn Snow, the lay service leader for today. Please click the link in our video description below for our order of service and other useful information. Our church website and Facebook page have information about our new online offerings. Also, members and friends are encouraged to read all Newsnet emails to stay updated on congregational matters. The prelude prepares us for the service.
We invite you to light a chalice of your own at home. This might be a simple candle in a bowl or something more elaborate. You have made or purchased.
Okay.
I'm gonna blow it out if she does that.
We light this chalice as a beacon of our faith and as a reminder of our commitment to a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. We worship together, though we are at a distance, by celebrating that which is sacred to us individually and collectively.
Our welcoming words today are call and response. I invite you to respond, bring them with you after each line. Don't leave your broken heart at the door. Don't leave your anger behind. Bring them with you. Your anger has high standards, and the world needs your vision and your passion. Bring them with you. We need your loving, your courage, and your conviction. Bring them with you. We need your healing and your power to heal. Bring them with you. There is work to do, and we have all that we need to do it right here in our community. We all have so many gifts. Bring them with you.
Morning has come. Dance with joy and sing a song of gladness. The light of glory shines
we gather together in loving community, we remember that we do not travel this earth alone. We share our lives as we light candles and hold each other in meditative thought and reverence. I'll now light a candle in my home while you light a candle in yours. And we can together observe a moment of silence while you share your joys and your burdens by replying in the comments below. And we can engage together in celebration and condolence. I will now light a final candle for all burdens and celebrations shared in our virtual space that went unspoken. May the warm light of these flames bring us peace.
Let us spend a few moments of silence as we think about all the joys and concerns that have been mentioned and have gone unspoken today. Then I will close us with a few words. We are made of the dust of distant suns, and we breathe molecules of oxygen from the dawn of the earth. We are connected with everything that lives, that has lived, that will ever live. Let us find comfort and strength this day in remembering that we are never really alone. We have each other's company on the journey. And right now, remembering that is very important. Amen. Shalom. Blessed be. Our story this morning is called Being Brave When You're Scared. Paolo sat in the doctor's waiting room next to his mother. He was mad. "I don't want to see the doctor," he said. "I know," said Mama, "but you need to have your annual checkup to make sure you are well and healthy." Underneath his mad feelings, Powell was scared. "Will I have to get a shot?" he asked. His mother smoothed his hair gently. "I don't know, Paolo. We'll see." This did not make Paolo feel better. The nurse called his name, and he held Mama's hand as they walked down to the examination room. He asked the nurse, "Will I have to get a shot?" She smiled and answered, "We'll see what the doctor says, Paolo." This did not make Paolo feel better. When the doctor came in, he remembered her and how nice she was. Maybe she was too nice to give him a shot. After she examined him, she smiled. "Paolo, you are healthy and well. The only thing left is a little shot." Paolo's stomach suddenly felt big and empty, and it kind of hurt. "Oh no," he said loudly. "I don't like shots. It will hurt." "Yes, I know," said the doctor. "No one likes shots. They do hurt a little. It's okay to feel scared about getting a shot." This did not make Paolo feel better. "Hey, you know what?" said the doctor. "I checked your mother's chart, and it looks like she will have to have a shot too." Paolo saw his mother's eyes get a little wider. She looked back at him. "Well, I don't like shots either. I will have to be brave." "How can you be brave if you're scared, Mama?" "You're always scared when you are being brave," she said. "Being brave means doing what has to be done while you are feeling scared." Paolo thought about this while they waited for the nurse. "Okay, who's first?" said the nurse when she came back with the shots in her hand. Paolo's mother looked a little scared as she raised her hand. "I'll go first," she said, "and I will try to be brave." Paolo held her other hand. "What if it hurts so bad you cry, Mama? You can't be brave when you cry." Mama shook her head as the nurse wiped her arm with a little piece of gauze. "If you cry, but still do the thing you have to do, the thing you're scared of, it means you're even braver." Paolo watched the needle go into his mother's arm. She made a funny face, but she didn't cry. "Did it hurt, Mama?" She nodded and rubbed her arm. "Yes, a little. Now it's over, and it doesn't hurt anymore." "Wow, Mama, you were very brave," said Paolo in admiration. "Okay, Paolo, now it's your turn," said the nurse as she moved toward him. Suddenly he felt very scared, and he leaned against Mama and held her arm tightly. She kissed the top of his head. "It's okay to feel scared, Paolo. Try to be brave and keep still." Paolo shut his eyes as he felt the cold alcohol the nurse rubbed on his arm. Suddenly there was a big sting, and he felt his eyes getting wet. "Ow!" he yelled, a little louder than he meant to. He felt a tear roll down his cheek as Mama held him close. "It's all over, Paolo. Does it still hurt?" He thought about it and sniffed. "No," he said. "You were very brave, even though you felt scared," said Mama. "Even though I cried a little bit?" he asked, looking up at her. She nodded. "That means you were braver. You were braver than I was." She smiled. "How do you feel now?" He thought about it. His stomach felt good again. He smiled. He felt like running and jumping. He felt great. "I feel glad. I was brave, and now I'm not scared anymore. I feel terrific." Minds, hearts, and hands and feet and rolling wheels. Minds, hearts, and hands and feet, rolling wheels. Minds that think, hearts that love, hands that serve, and feet and wheels. Minds, hearts, and hands and feet and rolling wheels. Minds, hearts, and hands and feet and rolling wheels. Minds, hearts, and hands and feet and rolling wheels. Minds that think, hearts that love, hands that serve, and feet and wheels. Minds, hearts, and hands and feet and rolling wheels. Wonderful.
Out of gratitude for all that we have been given and all that we have now, we share our resources because we love and trust one another, and because this church enriches our lives and empowers us to make the world better. We rely upon each other, members and friends, and we appreciate the generous donations and payment of pledges to support the legacy, vision, and work of this church community. Contributions may be made via PayPal by using the link below or by mailing your check directly to UUCT. All undesignated contributions will be split between this congregation and our designated Split the Plate organization. Please remember in the comments field in PayPal to designate this pledge as to UUCT or in the comments field of your check. If you prefer to send a contribution directly to our Split the Plate organization, please mail that check directly to the organization. The offertory music will continue to play in this window as you open a new window to make your contribution. By the work of our hands and the generosity of our hearts, our love is made real. Thank you for these gifts.
In 2006, the State of Israel formally proclaimed Unitarian mission workers and Unitarian Service Committee members, Martha and Wait Still Sharp, righteous among the nations. This particular rare honor is bestowed upon non-Jews who risked their own lives to save Jewish persons during the Holocaust. The Sharps were 2 of only 5 Americans to be so honored. All of us will experience small moments in our lives when we have the chance to help someone unexpectedly. Opportunities to be kind abound every day, and occasionally there is the chance to do something more than helpful, something that is significant, even life-changing for someone else. Sometimes we will know what we have done and appreciate its importance. Other times we may never see the results of the effort that we made. My mother's best friend once spotted a toddler walking along the edge of a busy street all alone. She stopped the car, put on the emergency blinkers, got out and ran and scooped the child up and out of danger to safety. She stood on the sidewalk looking up and down the row of houses for several minutes. Suddenly, a young woman burst out of the front door of one, screaming the name of her child at the top of her lungs. She ran to my mother's friend and gratefully took her child back into her arms. That was a time when she could see, my mother's friend could see the results of what she had done. These days we are surrounded by bona fide heroes risking their lives in the COVID-19 pandemic. First responders, medical professionals, cleaners, grocery store employees, garbage workers, and so many others. How many people will such heroes help every day? How often will they know how their help turned out? How many strangers will they help and never see again? How many of us will have the chance to be real heroes? How many of us would take the opportunity if it were offered to us? It takes extraordinary people to step willingly into those shoes, make those sacrifices, take those risks. They lift us all up by their courage. Wait Still Sharp was 37 in early 1939, a Unitarian minister serving the Unitarian Society of Wellesley Hill, west of Boston. And his wife of 10 years, Martha, was 33, when they received a late-night summons to the home of close friend and vice president of the American Unitarian Association, Reverend Everett Baker. He told them they had been chosen for an emergency relief mission to Czechoslovakia in response to the Nazi threat increasing there following the Munich Pact of September of 1938. Baker said the Sharps had been selected for the first intervention against evil undertaken by the denomination. Well, actually they were the 18th couple selected for the mission. The first 17 had turned it down. War was coming in Europe. The previous candidates had understandably not wanted to take such risks. Waitstill was immediately inspired by the possibility of actually working to oppose the Nazis instead of just preaching about it. But he and Martha had 2 small children, and there was his parish to consider. He would not go without his wife, and Martha was truly torn between her commitment to her faith and her service with her husband and her love for and commitment to their children. Waitstill felt confident that loving care could be provided for the children for the months they would be apart, but Martha had to think about it and seek support and counsel. Then, with 2 weeks' notice, they agreed and prepared for departure to Europe. Their first tour of duty was 6 months in Czechoslovakia, where they worked frantically to find food and shelter for refugees from other parts of Europe who were fleeing the Nazis. They also worked on procuring documents and visas for dissidents, artists, intellectuals, and scientists in a world where few nations wanted Jewish refugees and anti-Semitism was running high. They managed to help a number of such refugees to leave the continent and get to Britain disguised as domestic servants, laborers, and farm workers. Martha and Waitstill both put themselves in danger many times to assist their clients and help them get out of Europe, away from the Nazis. They also made financial transactions on behalf of those who had to remain hidden. Waitstill devised ways of hiding money in various locations with the intention that those refugees would escape and find the money waiting for them. Not long after Germany took over all the country, the Sharps were warned to flee, and they made it back to America in September of 1939. Can you imagine living in such a world, where at any moment an armed soldier could grab you without explanation and haul you away for interrogation, torture, imprisonment without cause, could send you to a concentration camp or worse? The Sharps watched such things happen every day, and by engaging in their covert operations of justice work, they risked such a fate for themselves. In the next year at home, as they attempted to resume normal life with their children and their church, they added multiple appearances, interviews, lectures, and legal advocacy and lobbying in their continued efforts to get visas for Jews trying to escape Europe to the United States, while the U.S. still hid its head in a post-World War I isolationism. Waitstill confirmed with the AUA leaders about creating a permanent organization to continue the humanitarian and justice work in Europe, both during and after the intensifying conflict. Modeled after a similar Quaker organization, Waitstill suggested the name Unitarian Service Committee. Some years later, it merged with the Universalist Service Committee to form the current UU Service Committee, which continues advocacy and justice work around the globe, and which is our Split the Plate partner for this month. Our heroes were not to be left to retire to regular life, however. With the formation of the USC came the demand from the leadership of the denomination that Waitstill and Martha return to Europe and open an office in Paris. Feeling that they had been drafted and under the implied threat of damage to Waitstill's ministerial career if they refused, the two frustrated and reluctant heroes left their children in the care of others and headed for Europe again in June of 1940, even as the Nazis invaded and rode over country after country. Arriving in Lisbon, they quickly realized that opening an office in Paris was out of the question under Nazi occupation. Instead, they followed the urging of several resistance contacts and got to work on buying and delivering milk and other foodstuffs to the starving children in the south of France. Facing obstacles at every turn, they also encountered friends and helpers, often unexpected, as they expanded their mission. In Vichy, France, they resumed their work for the Czech refugees and soldiers escaping the Nazi forces while waiting for the milk and other relief supplies to arrive by train. When those did finally arrive, Martha was largely responsible for the distribution to a populace suffering terribly under the conditions of wartime occupation. It was during her daily interactions with the poor, starving families that Martha began a new project to arrange for a transport of children to the United States. Even as she suffered from separation from her own children, she was overwhelmed by the sad faces and starving little bodies that she saw everywhere and the hopelessness in the eyes of their parents. The milk and food deliveries were grossly insufficient to the enormous need Martha witnessed, and she became determined to do more. Though they had intended to return home in the fall, the pressing urgency of their mission held them in France. Waitstill became involved in the effort to rescue intellectual enemies of the Nazi state who were in hiding, and Martha began work on the transport of children from Vichy France. When asked by one such rescued novelist why he engaged in such dangerous work, after assuring him that he and Martha were not being paid at all by the service committee, Waitstill told him that as a Unitarian minister and a man of faith, I believe the will of God is to be interpreted by the liberty of the human spirit. So I do what I do without any piety at all, but ad magna gloria libertatis humani spiriti, to greater glory and freedom of the human spirit. The story of the Sharps and their mission with the Unitarian Service Committee in war-torn Europe is well worth reading in Defying the Nazis, The Sharps War, a book written by their grandson, Artemis Joukowsky. Some of you may be familiar with the Ken Burns documentary based on the book and shown on PBS, where clips are still available and the film may be purchased. In his epilogue, Joukowsky notes that the temptation to sum up his grandparents' work in terms of numbers of people who were helped is futile. In the chaos of war, many records were lost and memories were unreliable. We know that Martha saved the lives of the 27 children, mostly Jewish, by arranging their transport to the United States and helping place them with foster families. They never saw their own parents again. Waitstill also arranged for a fair number of scientists and artists and writers to escape from Nazi-occupied territory. Hundreds were fed, housed, moved, financed, and helped to escape. But following up on how many actually survived is not possible. Joukowsky writes, "We do know that Martha and Waitstill were there in the midst of unfathomable horror, doing freedom's work with loving commitment. Perhaps what matters most is not the number they were able to help, but that they chose to help at all. With little more to guide them but innate decency, a keen sense of fairness, and a deep love for each other, the Sharps stood up to unspeakable evil and made a difference. By any other measure, Martha and Waitstill Sharp were heroes." Most of us will never have the chance for this level of heroism and would not choose it if we could. But learning about such folk, fellow Unitarians who risked so much for the cause of human freedom, inspires us to look around and see what we can find to make a difference in our time and place. The reluctant yet compelled heroes of this world need lots of support and help to fulfill their missions. We can be the helpers. We can also make a difference. Our no-contact Feed Them From Home food drive will take place this Thursday, May 21st. Please gather your non-perishable items and have them ready to set out on your doorstep for pickup, and check your email for instructions from Newsnet. We will need everyone who is donating to let us know so we can get you on our pickup list. A big thanks to Shampa Dada and Sharon Freeman for coordinating our efforts. Also, please, if you didn't earlier, take your credit card, go to our website, and make your donation to our PayPal link. You do not need your own PayPal account. Our Sunday offerings have been low since we started online, and that means that our partner organizations with whom we divide the proceeds of our offering plate, are not receiving very much support from us. Please support our church and, this month, the Unitarian Universalist Service Committee with your generous donation. Working for justice is not always easy, but it is absolutely necessary. We must help the heroes. Amen. Shalom. Blessed be.
Nona nobis pacem pacem dona nobis pacem dona nobis pacem pacem dona nobis pacem dona nobis pacem pacem dona nobis pacem
Please read the words in the order of service.
As we extinguish this chalice flame, let us remember that we carry the light within ourselves, which brings healing to a broken world and hope for the days ahead.
Neighbors and kindred, justice work is not always easy, but it is absolutely necessary. During these difficult times, let us remember that we are still working for justice. Go in peace.